everyone, it's Rhonda here from Nelson Soapery. Today I thought, look, let's get into a video all about candle making, of course, because I do have lots and lots of candle creators on this channel as well that follow me. So most of you will know my sprinkle creation. So this is a new one, and this one's going to be called Rainbows and Clowns, and it is basically your really beautiful kind of, you know, that really lovely sort of sprinkly, colourful kind of bottom. So I've already popped that on the bottom of these. Now these candle jars here are glass. They are from Pure Candle Supplies, and you'll notice as well they have that beautiful round bottom, and of course they need to be clear, don't they, so that, you know, I can make the colours shine. So what I'm going to do on these is do layers of rainbows. I've wanted to do it for a while because I am actually going to bring out a corresponding soap that kind of matches this whole theme as well. So what I'm going to do for now is, my whole idea with these little gorgeous things is we're going to be doing colours. So where the first rainbow is, I'm just going to do white. And so I've got my wicks here. So the wicks that I'm going to be using today are wood wicks. They're Pro wood wicks. And for those of you that want to know, they're a number 18. And the way you work it out is you measure the circumference of the jar. So just measure one side to the other. And on Aroma's website, they'll give you, you know, a rough guide. So I think this says roughly about like 8.3 centimeters across. These are about 8. I know these work because I have used them before, but you definitely have to test them. So I will be testing these ones. So for now, I'm going to just pop them in, and in the middle, as I've said before, there is a circle, so that's how you can easily tell. And just make sure there's no sprinkles on the bottom. I actually have a bin underneath my feet, so I'm not just throwing these on the ground. I am actually putting them in neat. And then I am just using these little tabs to stick mine on. I don't like to use blues and all of that because I just think, look, these have been made for that, and hopefully these aren't toxic. It says they're not, but you know, who knows? So we're definitely hoping they're not, and that they're all beautiful and exactly what we want, because I just don't like to use a lot of things that are you know, that I think, oh, they could possibly be bad. The same as in my bath bombs, I don't use alcohol because I just don't like that whole kind of look either. And so like I said, I'm going to go along and I'm just going to pop all these in. So let me do these and then I will be up to the next step. So I'm just going to continue putting in my wood wicks, and remember they are a Pro wick in wood, and they are a number 18, and that from my testing that's actually pretty much the perfect one. But of course I will need to test these ones again, because each batch you do need to test one. I know it feels like a bit of a waste of a jar, but you can always clean the jar out again later and use that for another testing at another time. That's pretty much what I do with mine. So like I said, we're just going to continue popping all of these in until we're ready, and then what I'm going to do is the next color that I'm going to add, or the first color I should say, is going to be white. So I'm going to be using a white wax, and the reason I'm doing that is I actually want the sprinkles to be really colourful and show just like it would at a circus or a fairground. That's kind of what I was going for, my theme with this. And if I put a colour behind the hundreds and thousands or the sprinkles, what actually happens is it just won't make them look vibrant. So that's my reason for doing that. So we'll finish off this bit and then we'll be on to the next bit. I also thought I would show you, this is the scent that I'm using. It's called Stardust, and it's absolutely beautiful. It has lots of gorgeous fragrances in wild fruits, some berries, raspberries, vanilla sugar, and white musk, which I really do love. So here I am just pouring in the bottom into these ones here. And I thought that I would also tell you guys, if you are not going to be using a wood wick, you could use a HTP 1312. So I've had a look at a few websites, and that's the one they suggest for this jar. But once again, you would need to do your testing, but that's kind of a starting point if you don't have any wood wicks available to you at the time. So anyway, and what I'm going to do here is I thought I would actually show you a candle that I've been testing for a while. It is a sprinkle candle, and if you can see the edges on the candle just along the side, the good thing is it's actually getting rid of all the wax. So there's no line of wax left behind. So I don't know whether you can see quite close the centimetre or two that's already burnt down. And it's just really, really good if you can try and do this and get the burn pull right to the edge. Also, the one thing I was going to say is a lot of people I see try and wick up extra, but you don't want to make it too hot because it can crack the glass and have all the big issues. And then, of course, your customers would complain about that. So, you know, sometimes you think, oh, I want the bigger flame, but the bigger flame can actually make everything too hot. And a smaller flame means it's not getting hot enough. And, of course, it's not burning and giving you the scent throw. So it is really a testing back and forward to see, you know, how you go with it. But in wooden wicks, the one thing I have to say is I've never, ever had a candle that just wouldn't light. So a lot of people say, oh, every now and then you can get a wood one that's really bad. But honestly, I've never had that. But I do use the better quality wood wicks. I have seen ones cheaper around, but I definitely wouldn't use those. I just use what I know works and what's going to be a good product. But you also do need to tell your customers that if they do not flick off the end black bit on the wick, you know, when you're finished with the wick and it's all cooled down, there'll be like a little bit of black ash, just like if you were burning, you know, a bonfire at home, you know, one of those little, you know, sort of home fires. If you were doing one of those, or even a campfire, you know, a piece of charcoal wood is not going to burn like a piece of fresh wood. So that's why you're just going to get them just to, you know, push off the little black bit, and then it will light again and it will be beautiful. So, you know, don't worry too much about that. I just always explain to them that is a really big part of having wood wicks. They are beautiful and they just have that really nice calming kind of feel. And most people that buy from me buy because I have the wood wicks, and they just like that I'm offering something unique. So try and make your business a little bit unique, and you definitely will bring in the customers. That's something that I always suggest if you can. I know these things are really hard because, you know, you just don't know where to go sometimes to be unique, but be unique, test everything out, and choose something and stick with the one that you're going to choose. That's definitely my advice. And now we will talk about the different waxes. So at the moment I'm using 100% pure soy. So with that one, you need to mix in your fragrance at around 55 degrees, and then you're going to pour at around 47 to 48 degrees. So I'm going to mix up my first colour here, which is pink. I'm using a drop dye. So it's just a liquid dye, and all I'm putting in is 1 to 2 drops. I ended up putting in 1 and a little bit extra. It wasn't a full drop, the second one. And then the tissue here is how I'm just going to roughly see what my colour is going to be. And then, of course, once it reaches the right temperatures, then, of course, I'm going to pour it. So I just did give you the temperatures for the pure soy. But if you're going to be using 464, the temperatures that I would be pouring at and mixing, so I would mix in my fragrance at 185 Fahrenheit, and then I would be pouring at 135 Fahrenheit. When I used to use 464, that is definitely the advice that I went off. And there was a really good clip that Candle Science had. That was an amazing clip, and they definitely taught me how to do that. So don't feel discouraged if it's not working and the tops aren't perfect, because 464 is notorious for doing that. But, you know, it does have some great elements with 464. So, you know, just make sure that you're happy with, you know, everything and all the waxes and everything you're using, and keep to those great temperatures as well. So here I'm just showing you how I actually get little bits of lines of wax. So if you have like a drip down the side, just try and clean it off. That way your lines will be nice and smooth, and they'll come crisp and beautiful when you come to the next layer. So now my pink is ready to be poured. So I'm going to start to pour it into the jars now. So all up, I think I have 12 jars, because you don't want to be doing this layering effect with 1 or 2 jars, because honestly, it is a labor of love. I mean, this is the first day, and I actually do come back for the next day to do the last ones. I couldn't do them all in one day because honestly it just takes so long, and I do love mine to be totally dry in between. So Some people might sort of go there hard enough or pour on top. I never do that because, you know, if the wax is just that tiny bit too hot, you definitely don't want to be burning through the layers and then having them all mixed, because then you'll be so disappointed with all your work. And this is when you're doing sort of like this rainbow one, the one thing I have to say is the pure 100% soy that I've been using from Pure Candle Supplies is really good because you're pouring it at a cooler temperature. And the good thing with that is it doesn't break through the layers because it's not extra hot. So I thought I would add that bit in just so you guys know that's my findings in that. Now, I did also add the purple in the last bit, and I'm sorry I haven't shown you. And of course, this is day 2 because you can tell I'm wearing a different top. So I've come back in and doing the blue. So with the blue, I'm actually using dye chips from Aroma with the blue, and with the purple, I actually used a wax block from Aroma with the purple as well. With that purple, you definitely need to add quite a lot in to make it strong, but these blue chips are super, super strong. So you only need like half a little chip to pop in that. So if you don't know much about colors, pretty much once you pour the wax in your container, that's when I add in my my little colors as well. And you don't want to be adding in too much, because then sometimes it will clog up the wick too. So you do need to be really careful, you know, what you're adding and so on. And here I'm coming back a couple hours later and popping in the green. So I'm not sure, my plan was to do an orange and a yellow, but I don't know how lucky I'm going to be able to be pouring in that. One of my subscribers did suggest these colors in a row, so that's why I'm doing that. So thank you for that amazing tip. And but what I'll do, I think, is do an orange one, and then I'm going to do a really, really light one of yellow, and then of course I will put my starburst rainbow on top, but I'll show you how I do that at the end as well. But I'm sure you can agree they're looking really cute. I mean, I would love to buy one of these myself. Lucky for me, I don't have to buy it. I can just take one that I've made, and that's going to be my tester. So I'll come back soon with the next level. So I thought I'd show you how I'm actually doing my elements on top, because on my candles I just like to keep them interesting. So I've got like a starburst rainbow that I'm popping on the top, and all I've got here is a tiny bit of just the clear wax, and I'm just going to be popping in a drop at a time because there are tiny baby little stars in the little embeds. So I just want to have a couple drops on each one. And yes, you can see only one. I basically make one and then I come back and make another when that's dry. So it is a long process, but I didn't want to have to go and buy 10 of the same thing. So I'm just patient and come back. And then I'm popping in my wax here, which I've already put in the pink colors. And then this dries to a really nice sort of sherbet pink. And these are going to just go on the top of the candles. The one thing is though, you can't let them get hot because this color will melt if it gets hot. So you couldn't put it in a farmer's market in the middle of summer because the colors would melt, which has happened to me before. So you just have to be really careful with that. And then once I've actually got you know, the dry ones and they're finished, I just get a palette knife or a knife, and then what I do is just scrape on any edges or messy bits that I don't like, because I really want them to be beautiful. And then I will put some sparkle biodegradable glitter on the top of the candle as well. And if any bits are on the edges, you can wipe them off with a knife, or you can wait to the end, whichever one is easier for you. It doesn't really matter. And then I will show you in a minute how I get it out of the mold. You have to be really, really careful to get it out so that you don't ruin it in the mold. But like I said, it does make it nice. And also to do an element on the top, you really can't use normal soy wax because they just crack. So I actually use a 464 tart wax. So it is the golden wax in a tart wax, and then I just pop that in there. And the tart wax is fine to have on the top because you're only having a tiny, tiny little element on it. You wouldn't be putting tart wax all over everything, but on the top it's fine the way it is, just that tiny little bit. And then, like I said, you know, you got to let them dry in between. And when we get to the last layer, I'll show you what I do, because then I have to get the heat gun on the top, melt them all down. And once that has melted down, then I do put these on the top layer. But for next, I do need to put a really nice orange layer, which I'm going to about to do. And then I will also put the yellow on top, and then these starburst ones will sit on top of the yellow. Anyway, hopefully that's helped you understand how I do the elements on top. Okay everyone, I'm back again. So what I'm going to be doing now while I'm waiting for the other wax to cool down is I'm just going to clip the wicks. So you'll be able to see here I'm just using a pair of standard scissors. And what I also do is just wipe down the scissors sometimes in between, just with like a Dettol wipe or something. It's just like the ones you wipe your children's hands with, and it's just to make sure that everything's clean. If there was a tiny little bit of colour or something on there. And you can see that I'm using the jar, the actual jar, as a bit of a guide to where it is. And then I just slightly go on a bit of an angle. And then that's how I actually do mine. Look, you can wait to the end if you want, but you really don't want much of a wick sticking up at the end. I've definitely put more than the 300 grams in these. It's probably like 310 to 315 grams in each one of these, but I really wanted it to come to the top, so then it's going to look beautiful, because my element that I'm putting on the top is really flat, so I don't need to worry about that too much. So I just thought I would show you this bit as well. And what I also do after I clip everything, then I actually just use a knife. And with the knife, I just scrape off any bits of wax around the edges that's also on the wicks and so on. And I just sort of clean them up a little bit. That way you know they're going to look really beautiful. And you know that you've done the best you can to create this gorgeous candle. So the only thing that I was thinking is I did want to put a yellow after the orange, but there is definitely not enough room. I probably should have put less green so that I had more room, but anyway, I'll know better for next time, won't I? But you know, I just think these are rainbow ones and they're all unique, and as I say, they're hand poured, so they're not going to be the same as a factory. You know, there's no machine measuring every exact layer to make sure it's the absolute exact. If you want it to be exact, each one, you would literally need to measure you know, put every one on the scale and measure the exact amount per each layer. But most people are not going to do that because it just takes so much time to do that. And, you know, here I'm working with 12 candles. Maybe, you know, if you did 100 or if it was for a wholesale order and you needed massive amounts, then you would probably do that. But these are just for my own website and my own customers. And my customers know that I do all of them unique, so that they seem to like that. So anyway, as I said, that's sort of where I'm going with this. And the orange will come out probably a yellow orange anyway. It'll be more, you know, have a little bit more yellow, similar to a pineapple, kind of a pineapple mango-y color, I guess, which is really nice because I do think that the pink will just, the pink embed will just pop on the top and it's going to look really beautiful. So I will bring you back when I'm putting on the embeds just to show you exactly how that's going to happen. And once the orange, you know, sort of dries down a little bit, then I'll use the heat gun. I'll heat over the top. We'll pop the element on and then we will be ready for the next bit. So hopefully I've explained that enough and you can see exactly what I'm doing and how I actually do my rainbow ones. And I really hope that you have loved watching me do this. If you have, don't forget to give me a like. That's how YouTube actually know that all my content is worthy of people watching it, of course, and getting it in front of more people. And also make sure you subscribe to the channel. That would be really helpful if you do for me and of course for yourself, because then you will be notified of upcoming videos as long as you pop on your notification bell, and it will give you a little ding when everything is going to come up so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Sometimes I actually release 4 a week, sometimes 3 a week, but I definitely never do less than 2. because lots of you are saying you love watching it. It doesn't matter to you, you know, whether I post it daily or second or whatever. But, you know, I won't post them daily because I don't want you to get sick of me. But, you know, if I've got something that I think I can actually help you guys with, then definitely, you know, it's worthy, isn't it, of watching and learning something, and then you guys can give it a go. Or you can just watch me if you prefer just to watch someone making candles and soap products. Then I'm very excited that you are here. And of course, all of you other guys that are here know how much I so appreciate you, and I really am genuinely humbled and grateful that you've all tuned in, because our little channel has grown from probably only it's only been about 4 months or so. It's maybe 4.5 months, I think now, since we really started this. So we started back in February. I had the channel before, but I didn't do anything with it. So in February is when I actually thought, well, maybe someone might find my knowledge a little bit useful and help them along the way. So anyway, like I said, I am really honestly grateful that you guys love what I do and you're all so supportive. So don't forget to subscribe, and like I said, give me a big thumbs up, because I love to see that you guys love what I'm doing. Anyway, you can see me pouring the end of these, and like I said, I will come back in a moment and show you how I pop the embeds on, and then how we've totally finished these up and made them absolutely gorgeous. So let's start doing the embeds that are going to go on top. So I have my plain 100% soy in here. So I'm just going to dab on a little dot, and this is where the star is going to be on this rainbow burst that I'm making at the moment. It does take a long time. It is quite tedious and precise, but I don't mind that bit because I really do love the end result. And then I'm using a tart wax for the colour here. I've just added some colour into a tart wax, and what the tart wax does is it just makes it harder, so it's not as soft as just your soy. It's still a soy wax, but it's just the tart wax. So it does usually have an additive to make it a little harder. But most of these additives are natural, but do look into the ones that you're using. I'm actually using a golden wax tart wax, which I've got from Aussie Candle Supplies. And then I just pick off the edges on this. You can leave it and scrape them off later, which I usually do anyway. And then, of course, you just need to leave this in the time. So you can see the one I'm working on now with the knife. I'm just basically getting any little edges that don't look perfect, because the embed needs to be really, really neat, because it's going on the top of the candle, and it's going to be obviously a feature of the candle. And this definitely is a feature of all my candles, whether they're clear rainbow ones or in the white jars. They all have an embed to make them really unique and just beautiful. So I'm happy with the end result, and now I thought I would show you of me just popping everything on. So what I do is I get my heat gun. Once they're all totally solidified, all the colors are dried, I usually leave them overnight. I come back and then I just heat gun over the top and pop in the embed. You can actually just do one particular side if you want, but I like to heat gun the whole lot, because that way I know it's really even, it's going to look exactly the same. And then I'm just popping that on with some tiny bit of biodegradable glitter. You really can't use a lot of biodegradable glitter because it can clog up the wicks. And the one thing to remember is it's important to tell your customers that when you've actually finished with everything and they light the candle, that obviously the red is going to run into the yellow. Some people don't think that's going to happen, but obviously it will. So that's just one thing you need to tell them. But I think it looks really pretty, and it becomes like a watered color on top. And sometimes with soy wax as well, what actually happens is the wood can actually interfere with the natural soy wax, and it can make it either a brownish kind of color or green, or it will actually pick up the colors. So if you want your colors to be really crisp and not change, then you would just definitely need to use something like a 464 wax, but then that's more temperamental with colors. So it's kind of a play off of which is the better one to use. So I thought I'll show you the end result. I've totally finished here. and they really do look beautiful. I'm really loving the end result of these. And I know they'll be super popular. These ones are 300 grams. Honestly, they're probably 310 grams, but I'll just sell them as 300 grams. And then they will have a beautiful black lid on top. Do make sure your embeds don't come over the top of the glass, because then you wouldn't be able to put a lid on. Sometimes if I do ones, I'm doing some fruit salad ones at the moment, they will come over the top and they will be sold without a lid because I can't fit the lid on those ones. So anyway, that's just something that you need to think of when you're doing these sort of fancy ones as well. And these ones will go up on my website pretty soon. Thanks for listening, everyone, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up at the end. See you next time.